Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. Manhattan, New York. Stonewell Corporation headquarters. The private elevator to the 40th floor of Stonewell Tower had never carried this much tension. Sophia Martinez nervously adjusted her executive folder, checking for the third time if she had brought all the documents for her first meeting as executive assistant to the infamous Ethan Stonewell. "Breathe, Sophia," she murmured to herself, watching the numbers climb on the digital panel. Across Manhattan, Ethan finished knotting his Italian silk tie while looking out the panoramic window of his penthouse. At 32, he had transformed the family business into an empire, spanning real estate investments to tech startups. But today, for the first time in years, his stomach was churning. "Ethan, sweetheart, you need to make up your mind soon." Eleanor Stonewell's voice echoed through the intercom. His 7-8-year-old grandmother, the matriarch who still controlled 40% of the company's shares, didn't know the meaning of the word subtle. "Grandma Ellie, please." "I'm coming," he replied, a mixture of affection and exasperation in his voice. The problem was simple. His father, Charles Stonewell, had decided it was time for his son to get married, and he already had the perfect candidate, Abigail Thornton, daughter of a Texas oil magnate, and coincidentally, the most boring woman Ethan had ever met. Sophia took a deep breath as the elevator doors opened, revealing the famous executive office. Glass walls offered a panoramic view of Central Park, while minimalist furniture in shades of gray and black created an intimidating atmosphere. In the center of it all, a solid mahogany desk. "Where the heck is my new boss?" she muttered, checking her watch. 9:15 a.m. She had arrived 15 minutes early, as she always did. The side door burst open, and Ethan stormed into the office like a hurricane of Armani suit and palpable frustration. Disheveled brown hair, blue-gray eyes sparking with irritation, and an expression that could melt steel. "You must be the new," he began, stopping abruptly when he saw her. Sophia stood up, extending her hand professionally. "Sophia Martinez, your new executive assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Stonewell." For a moment, Ethan was silent, studying the woman before him. Wavy brown hair pulled into an elegant bun, intelligent dark eyes, and a confident smile that showed not an ounce of intimidation. "Interesting." "Of course, Sophia," he said, shaking her hand, noting the firm grip. "I hope you're prepared for an interesting day." "I always am, Mr. Stonewell." Before he could respond, his phone rang. The name Dad flashed on the screen. "Ethan, son, I have a surprise for you." Charles's enthusiastic voice echoed through the speakerphone. "Abigail is here in the office with me. How about we come up for a quick visit? Maybe lunch?" Ethan's blood ran cold. "Dad, I told you today isn't a good day for nonsense. We're already in the elevator. Abigail is eager to see you again." The call ended. Ethan looked at Sophia, who was discreetly trying to pretend she hadn't heard everything. "Darn," he muttered, running his hands through his hair. "Sophia, I need you to. The elevator dinged. The doors opened, revealing Charles Stonewell, a 5-8-year-old man with the same determined look as his son, and Abigail Thornton, platinum blonde, pink Chanel dress, and a smile that seemed painted on porcelain. "Ethan, darling." Abigail advanced toward him with open arms. It was at that moment that Ethan made the most impulsive decision of his life. Without thinking, he turned to Sophia, held her face with both hands, and kissed her. It wasn't a chaste or polite peck. It was a full, passionate kiss that made Sophia drop her folder on the floor and grab the lapels of his suit to keep from falling. The silence that followed was deafening. "Ethan!" Abigail's shocked voice cut through the air like a blade. He slowly pulled away from Sophia, keeping his hands on her face, looking directly into her eyes. He saw surprise, confusion, and something else, something that made his heart race. "Dad." "Abigail," he said without taking his eyes off. "Sophia. I'd like you to meet my girlfriend, Sophia Martinez." Sophia's folder hit the floor again with a dull thud. She had tried to pick it up and dropped it a second time. Your what?" Charles stammered. "Girlfriend," Ethan repeated, finally turning to face his family, but keeping one arm possessively around Sophia's waist. "Actually, we're thinking about moving in together soon." Sophia looked at him as if he had completely lost his mind, which, come to think of it, might have been exactly the case. "But Ethan," Abigail said, her shrill voice becoming even more piercing, "we had plans." Your father said you were interested in finding true love. Ethan interrupted softly. And I found it. He looked at Sophia again. And this time she saw something genuine in his eyes. Didn't I, sweetheart? Sophia opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Finally, in a moment of pure madness, she decided to play along. Of course, honey, she said. The word coming out a bit strange, but she smiled brilliantly at Charles and Abigail. Ethan has told me so much about you. Charles frowned. Strange, because he never mentioned you. Well, Sophia said, surprising herself with her ability to improvise, Ethan is very private about his personal life. Isn't that right, darling? Exactly, Ethan replied, pulling her closer, pretending not to notice how she tensed. We wanted to make sure it was serious before telling the family. Abigail let out a high, fake laugh. What an incredible coincidence. You find a girlfriend exactly on the day your father arranges our meeting. Love happens when you least expect it, Sophia said sweetly. And Ethan had to suppress a smile at the slightly sarcastic tone. The office phone rang, breaking the tension. Ethan answered quickly. Ethan, dear. Grandmother Eleanor's familiar voice echoed through the speakerphone. I heard you brought a special young lady to meet the family. How wonderful. Come to dinner at home tonight. All of you. And Sophia, dear. Yes, I know your name. I have my sources. I hope you're prepared for an interesting evening. The call ended before anyone could protest. Ethan and Sophia looked at each other. He saw panic in her eyes. And she probably saw the same in his. Well, Charles said slowly, looks like we'll have a family evening. After his father and Abigail finally left, with Abigail muttering something about background checks, Ethan and Sophia were alone in the office. The silence stretched for long seconds. So, Sophia said finally, her voice calm despite her hands trembling slightly, would you like to explain to me why the heck I just got promoted from assistant to fake girlfriend in a matter of minutes? Ethan loosened his tie, suddenly looking exhausted. Abigail Thornton, our parents have this brilliant idea that it would be a perfect match to unite two family fortunes, and I don't want to marry her. I'd rather marry a cactus. At least that would be more interesting. Despite everything, Sophia laughed. Okay, I understand the motivation, but why me? You could have invented an imaginary girlfriend. You were here, he paused, and you didn't seem intimidated by me. Should I be? Most people are. Sophia studied him for a moment. You realize we'll have to maintain this lie now, right? Your grandmother clearly isn't foolish. Grandma Ellie is a force of nature. She's already decided she likes you. How do you know that? Because if she didn't, she would have already found a way to cancel dinner and make you mysteriously disappear. Sophia sat heavily in her chair. Good heavens, what have I gotten myself into? Ethan approached, his expression becoming serious. Look, Sophia, I know this is crazy. If you want to leave now, I completely understand. I can make up some excuse for my family. She looked at him, seeing something vulnerable in his eyes that wasn't there before. And Abigail, I'll have to find another way to deal with that. Sophia was silent for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. You know what? My life was getting kind of predictable anyway. Does that mean... That means, Ethan Stonewell, you just got yourself a fake girlfriend, at least for tonight. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. But if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. I need to know everything about you. Favorite food, hobbies, how we met, how long we've been together. Ethan smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen on his face. You're incredible. You haven't seen anything yet. Sophia picked up her folder from the floor. Now, about this dinner, is your grandmother the type who asks inappropriate questions? Sophia, Ethan said, his expression becoming serious again. My grandmother, Eleanor Stonewell, is the woman who built half of this family's financial empire. She can make CEOs of multinational companies cry with just one look. Great, Sophia murmured. No pressure at all. And one more thing, Ethan added, looking slightly embarrassed. She kind of insists that serious couples live together to truly know the person. In her words, Sophia stared at him. Tell me you're not implying what I think you're implying. My penthouse has 4 bedrooms. Ethan Stonewell, you are officially insane. Probably. He extended his hand to her. Deal? Sophia looked at the extended hand, then at his face. There was something irresistible about the mixture of vulnerability and determination in his eyes. Against all her better judgment, she shook his hand. Deal. But you're going to owe me the biggest explanation in history. Deal. And that's how Sofia Martinez went from executive assistant to fake girlfriend of a billionaire in a single Tuesday morning. She still didn't know that before the end of the week, she'd be questioning whether the feelings were really that fake. Ethan's penthouse, Upper East Side, Manhattan. 3 hours later, Sofia stood in the marble foyer of Ethan's penthouse, clutching an overnight bag and questioning every life decision that had led her to this moment. The space was exactly what she'd expected from a billionaire bachelor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, modern art that probably cost more than her annual salary, and furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. "Welcome to my humble abode," Ethan said, appearing beside her with 2 cups of coffee. His tie was gone, sleeves rolled up, and for the first time since they'd met, he looked almost normal. "Humble," Sofia repeated, accepting the coffee gratefully. "Right. This place is bigger than my entire apartment building. The guest room is down the hall, second door on the right. It has its own bathroom. And Ethan," Sofia set down her coffee and turned to face him fully. "Before we go any further with this insanity, we need ground rules." He raised an eyebrow. "Ground rules. Rule number 1. Separate bedrooms. Separate bathrooms when possible, and you knock before entering any room I'm in. Reasonable. Rule number 2. This is temporary. We figure out how to get you out of this arranged marriage situation, and then we go back to our normal boss-employee relationship." Ethan's expression flickered with something she couldn't identify. "Of course. Rule number 3. We need a believable backstory, and we need it fast. Your grandmother sounds like the type who will interrogate us. She once made a Fortune 500 CEO confess to tax evasion during a dinner party. So, yes, interrogation is definitely on the table." Sofia pulled out her phone and opened a new note. "Okay, let's start with the basics. How long have we been dating?" Ethan sat on the leather couch, gesturing for her to join him. 3 months. Long enough to be serious. Not so long that people would wonder why they haven't met you. "Good. How did we meet?" "You could have been working at another company, and we met at a business conference." Sofia shook her head. "Too easy to verify." "What about?" "I was working at a coffee shop part-time while finishing my MBA. And you were a regular customer. I like it. Shows you're ambitious. Explains why you're qualified to be my assistant." Ethan leaned back, studying her. "What's your favorite coffee order?" "Medium vanilla latte with an extra shot in oat milk." "You? Black coffee? No sugar." Apparently, opposites attract. Despite her nerves, Sofia smiled. "Apparently, they do." "Okay. What about the relationship progression? When did we become official?" "After about 6 weeks. I asked you out properly after you graduated. And when did you realize you were falling for me?" The question slipped out before she could stop it, and Sofia felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I mean, for the story. In case your grandmother asks." Ethan was quiet for a moment, his blue-gray eyes studying her face with an intensity that made her fidget. "When you told me I was wrong about something in front of a room full of executives, and instead of being angry, I was impressed. That's actually pretty good. What about you? When did you fall for me?" His voice was softer now, almost curious. Sofia's heart did something strange in her chest. "When I realized that underneath all that arrogance, you actually cared about doing the right thing, even if you had a terrible way of showing it." They stared at each other for a moment, the pretense feeling suddenly less pretend. Ethan cleared his throat. "We should probably practice." "Practice what?" "Being a couple, physical affection, pet names, the way couples interact. If we're awkward tonight, Grandma Ellie will see right through us." Sofia's mouth went dry. "Physical affection. Nothing inappropriate," Ethan said quickly. "Just hand-holding, maybe sitting close together. The kind of casual intimacy that real couples have." "Right. Casual intimacy. Sure." Sofia stood up abruptly. "Maybe we should start with something easier, like pet names. What do you want me to call you?" Sofia considered this. "Sofia works fine. Maybe Soph if you're feeling casual. What about you?" "Ethan's fine. Nate if we're being informal." "This is so weird," Sofia muttered, pacing toward the window. "I can't believe I'm actually doing this." Ethan watched her pace, noting the way she moved with unconscious grace, how the afternoon light caught the highlights in her hair. "Sofia, if this is too much, no." She turned back to him with determination. "I said I'd do this, and I will. I just need a minute to wrap my head around it." Her phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it and frowned. "Everything okay?" Ethan asked. "It's my sister. She wants to know if I'm free for dinner tonight." Sofia typed back quickly. "I'm telling her I have a date. You could tell her the truth. Sophia snorted. Right. Hey, Isabella, remember that new job I started today? Well, I'm now fake dating my billionaire boss to help him avoid an arranged marriage. That would go over well. Fair point. Ethan's phone also buzzed. He checked it, and his expression darkened. Abigail. What does she want? To meet for drinks later, to clear the air about this morning. Ethan showed Sophia the message. She's not going to let this go easily. What are you going to tell her? That I'm busy with my girlfriend tonight. Ethan started typing, but she's going to keep pushing. Abigail doesn't handle rejection well. Sophia came back to sit beside him, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something expensive and subtly masculine. How long were you two involved? We weren't. That's the problem. Our fathers decided we'd be perfect together, based on some business merger they want to orchestrate. Abigail's been under the impression that we're practically engaged, and you never corrected that impression? Ethan had the grace to look embarrassed. I kept putting off dealing with it. I thought maybe if I ignored it long enough, they'd give up. Men, Sophia muttered. But there was amusement in her voice. Okay, so Abigail is going to be suspicious. Your father probably is too, and your grandmother is going to test us. This evening should be fun. About tonight, Ethan said, his voice taking on a note of warning. There are a few things you should know about my family. Grandma Ellie has very strong opinions about everything, and she's not shy about sharing them. She'll probably ask you about your family, your goals, your intentions with me. My intentions? She's very protective. She raised me after my parents divorced when I was 12. Sophia's expression softened. That must have been hard. She's the strongest woman I know, but she can be intense. Noted. What about your dad? He means well, but he sees everything as a business transaction, including marriage. He'll probably try to figure out what you bring to the table financially or socially. Charming family dynamics. Ethan laughed, but it wasn't entirely humorous. Welcome to the Stonewell family, where love comes with a business plan attached. Sophia studied his profile as he stared out the window. There was something lonely in his expression that made her chest tighten unexpectedly. Ethan. Yeah, for what it's worth, I think what you did today, protecting yourself from being forced into something you don't want, that took courage. He looked at her, surprised. Even though I dragged you into it? Even though you dragged you into it, she smiled. Besides, my life was getting boring. This is definitely not boring. Give it time, Ethan said dryly. You haven't met my family yet. Sophia's phone buzzed again. This time, it was her apartment building's concierge. Shoot, she muttered after reading the message. What now? There was a water main break in my building. They're saying residents might not be able to get back in for a few days. Ethan and Sophia looked at each other, the implications hitting them simultaneously. So, you're stuck here? Ethan said slowly. Looks like it. With me? Apparently. Another pause. This just got a lot more complicated, Sophia said. Ethan's phone rang, interrupting the moment. Eleanor Stonewell's name appeared on the screen. Hi, Grandma Ellie. Ethan. Dear, I've been thinking about tonight. Why don't you and Sophia just stay at the house? I've had Maria prepare the blue guest room, and it would give us more time to get to know your young lady properly. Ethan met Sophia's eyes, seeing his own panic reflected there. That's very thoughtful. But we wouldn't want to impose. Nonsense. It's settled. Dinner's at 7, and I'll have Juan prepare something special. Oh, and Ethan, wear the navy suit. Sophia, dear, I do hope you have something elegant. Not that it matters. I'm sure you look lovely in anything. The line went dead. Sophia stared at Ethan. Did your grandmother just invite us for a sleepover? It appears so. At her house? Yes, where we'll have to share a room. Ethan nodded grimly. The blue guest room has one bed. A very large, very antique 4-poster bed that belonged to my great-great-grandmother. Sophia buried her face in her hands. This is getting out of control. Judo, we could tell her the truth, Ethan offered weakly. After this morning's performance, she'd never believe us. Besides, I'm not backing down now. Sophia lifted her head, her expression determined. We're going to pull this off. You're sure? I'm sure. She stood up and smoothed her skirt. Now, if we're going to convince your grandmother that we're madly in love, we better start practicing that casual intimacy you mentioned. Ethan rose as well, moving closer to her. How do you want to start? Sophia's breath caught as he stepped into her personal space. This close, she could see flecks of silver in his blue eyes, the slight stubble along his jaw, the way his lips curved just slightly upward at the corners. Maybe hand-holding, she suggested, her voice coming out smaller than intended. Ethan reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he laced their fingers together. His hand was warm, slightly callous despite his wealth, and larger than hers. "This okay?" he asked softly. Sophia nodded, not trusting her voice. The simple contact was sending unexpected sparks up her arm. "We should practice sitting together too," Ethan said. Couples tend to gravitate toward each other. They moved to the couch, and Ethan sat first, then gestured for Sophia to sit beside him. She did, acutely aware of the warmth radiating from his body, the way he smelled like expensive cologne, and something that was uniquely him. "This feels so strange," Sophia admitted. "Strange bad, or strange good?" She considered the question honestly. Strange. Natural. Actually. Which is the strange part? Ethan's thumb brushed across her knuckles, such a small gesture that she might have imagined it. "Sophia, yeah, thank you for doing this. I know it's crazy." But he was quiet for a moment. "I haven't felt this relaxed around someone in a long time." Sophia's heart did that fluttering thing again. "Ethan, I know it's just pretend," he said quickly. "I just meant you're easy to be around." "You're not what I expected either," Sophia admitted. "What did you expect? Someone colder, more arrogant, less," she gestured vaguely at him. "Less what?" "Less human." Ethan laughed. A real laugh this time. "I'll take that as a compliment." It was meant as one. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, Sophia becoming gradually more aware of Ethan's presence beside her, the way he absently stroked his thumb across her hand, how natural it felt to be curled up next to him. "Ethan," she said eventually. "Soph, your family is going to love me." He looked down at her, amused. "How can you be so confident?" Sophia grinned up at him. "Because I'm awesome." Obviously, Ethan agreed, and for a moment, looking down at her bright smile and sparkling eyes, he almost forgot this was all pretend. Almost. Stonewell Estate, Greenwich, Connecticut. The Stonewell family estate looked like something out of a movie. A sprawling Georgian mansion with perfectly manicured gardens, a circular driveway lined with ancient oaks, and enough windows to suggest the electric bill could fund a small country. Sophia gripped Ethan's hand tighter as their car pulled up to the front entrance. "Breathe," Ethan murmured, squeezing her fingers. "You've got this. Easy for you to say. You've been dealing with her your whole life." Sophia smoothed her navy blue dress, the most elegant thing in her wardrobe, and checked her reflection in the car window one last time. "How do I look?" Ethan's answer was immediate and sincere. "Beautiful." The simple honesty in his voice made Sophia's cheeks warm. Over the past few hours of practicing their couple act, moments like these had been happening more frequently, little instances where the pretending felt dangerously real. The massive front door opened before they could knock, revealing a distinguished man in his 60 seconds wearing a perfectly pressed uniform. "Master Ethan, Miss Martinez," he said with a slight bow. "Mrs. Stonewell is waiting in the drawing room. May I take your bags?" "Thanks, Juan. How's she doing tonight?" Juan's expression remained professionally neutral, but Sophia caught the slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. "Quite enthusiastic about meeting your young lady, sir." "That's what I was afraid of," Ethan muttered. They followed Juan through a foyer that could have doubled as a ballroom, complete with a crystal chandelier that probably cost more than Sophia's college education. Original oil paintings lined the walls, and Sophia was pretty sure she recognized a few famous signatures. "Ethan, darling," a commanding voice echoed from ahead. Eleanor Stonewell appeared in the doorway of what must be the drawing room, and Sophia understood immediately why CEOs found her intimidating. Despite being nearly 80, she moved with the grace and purpose of someone half her age. Silver hair, perfectly styled, wearing an elegant burgundy dress that screamed designer, and sharp blue eyes that seemed to see everything at once. "Grandma Ellie." Ethan stepped forward to kiss her cheek, and Sophia was struck by how his entire demeanor softened around his grandmother. "I'd like you to meet Sophia." Eleanor turned those penetrating eyes on Sophia, who felt like she was being evaluated for purchase. After a moment that felt like an eternity, the older woman smiled. "Sophia Martinez." Eleanor stepped forward, and to Sophia's surprise, pulled her into a warm hug. "Welcome to the family, dear." "Thank you, Mrs. Stonewell. Your home is absolutely stunning. Please, call me Eleanor or Grandma Ellie if you're comfortable with that." Eleanor stepped back, but kept her hands on Sophia's shoulders. "And this old place has been in the family for 4 generations. I'd love to give you a proper tour later. I'd like that very much." "Excellent. Now, come in. Come in. Charles should be here shortly, and I want to hear all about how you two met." The drawing room was elegant without being stuffy. Comfortable leather chairs arranged around a marble fireplace, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and French doors leading to a terrace overlooking the gardens. Eleanor gestured for them to sit on a love seat while she took the chair across from them. "So," Eleanor said, settling back with a crystal glass of what looked like whiskey, "tell me about this romance." "Ethan has been frustratingly secretive." Sophia felt Ethan's hand find hers, his thumb stroking across her knuckles in what had become a comforting gesture over the past few hours. "We met at a coffee shop near Columbia," Sophia began, grateful they'd practiced this story. "I was finishing my MBA and working part-time to pay for school. Ethan was apparently a regular customer, though it took me weeks to notice him." "Hard to believe," Eleanor said with amusement. "My grandson isn't exactly easy to overlook." "I was usually buried in textbooks," Sophia said with a laugh. "One morning, I was struggling with a particularly difficult case study about corporate restructuring, and this stranger at the next table offered to help. I couldn't help myself," Ethan added, his voice warm with what sounded like genuine fondness. She was so focused, so determined, and when she finally looked up, he trailed off, looking at Sophia with an expression that made her breath catch. It was like everything clicked. Sophia finished softly, and for a moment, she almost believed it herself. Eleanor watched this exchange with keen interest. "And when did friendship become something more?" "About 6 weeks later," Ethan said. "I asked her out properly after she graduated." "What convinced you to say yes, dear?" Eleanor asked Sophia. Sophia thought about their practice session, about the vulnerable moment when Ethan had talked about his parents' divorce. "He showed me who he really was, underneath all the walls he puts up, and I realized that despite his reputation for being difficult, he genuinely cares about doing the right thing." Eleanor's eyebrows rose slightly. "Interesting perspective. Most people focus on Ethan's achievements or his wealth. Those things are nice," Sophia said honestly, "but they're not why I fell for him." "And what did convince you?" Eleanor pressed. Sophia glanced at Ethan, then back at his grandmother. "The day he spent 3 hours helping an elderly man who'd been cheated by a contractor. Ethan didn't have to get involved, and the man couldn't offer him anything in return. But Ethan couldn't stand seeing someone taken advantage of." Ethan stared at Sophia in surprise. "How did you know about that?" "Your assistant mentioned it when I was reviewing your schedule. She said you do things like that more often than people realize." Eleanor was watching this exchange with growing interest. "Indeed, he does." "I'm impressed you noticed, Sophia. Most people see only what Ethan wants them to see." Before anyone could respond, Juan appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Charles has arrived. Mrs. Stonewell." "Wonderful. Sent him in." Charles Stonewell entered with the confidence of a man used to being the smartest person in the room. He was an older version of Ethan. Same strong jaw, same blue-gray eyes, but with silver threading through his dark hair and laugh lines around his eyes. "Ethan, Sophia." He shook hands with both of them, his grip firm and assessing. "I have to admit, this morning's announcement was quite a surprise." "Sometimes love surprises us all," Eleanor said pointedly. Charles's smile was polite but skeptical. "Indeed. Sophia, I understand you recently completed your MBA." "Yes, from Columbia. Impressive. What was your concentration?" "Corporate strategy and international business." "Excellent programs. And your family background?" Sophia felt Ethan tense beside her, but she answered calmly. "My parents immigrated from Guatemala when I was 5. My father is a carpenter. My mother works in a hotel. They sacrificed a lot to make sure my sister and I could get good educations." "Self-made woman," Eleanor said approvingly. "I like that." Charles nodded thoughtfully. "And your career goals?" "I want to build something meaningful," Sophia said. "Maybe start my own consulting firm eventually. Help small businesses grow and succeed." "Ambitious," Charles observed. "And expensive. Starting a business requires significant capital." The implication was clear, and Sophia felt her spine stiffen. Before she could respond, Ethan's voice cut through the tension. "Dad, could we perhaps skip the financial interrogation? Sophia's not applying for a loan. I'm simply getting to know the woman my son is serious about," Charles said mildly. "Mr. Stonewell," Sophia said evenly. "I understand your concern, but I should clarify something. I'm not with Ethan for his money. I have my own career plans and my own means of achieving them." "Of course," Charles said, but his tone suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. Eleanor stood up abruptly. "Charles, stop being an ass. Juan, is dinner ready?" "Yes, ma'am." "Excellent. Shall we?" The dining room was as impressive as the rest of the house. a long mahogany table that could seat 20, though tonight it was set for 4. Crystal wine glasses caught the light from an antique chandelier, and Sophia was pretty sure the china was actual antique, spode. Dinner conversation flowed more easily than Sophia had expected. Eleanor regaled them with stories about Ethan's childhood, including several embarrassing anecdotes that made him groan and hide his face in his hands. And then, Eleanor continued, clearly enjoying herself. 8-year-old Ethan decided he was going to fix the antique grandfather clock in the hallway, took the entire thing apart with a screwdriver he'd stolen from Juan's toolbox. "Please stop," Ethan muttered. "Could you put it back together?" Sophia asked, grinning. "That's the best part," Eleanor said. "He actually improved it. The clock had been running slow for years, and after Ethan's repair, it kept perfect time. He's always been like that," Charles added, his expression softening as he looked at his son. "Sees how things could be better and won't rest until he fixes them. Sometimes that gets me in trouble," Ethan said, glancing at Sophia with a meaningful look. "The best kind of trouble," Sophia replied, and was rewarded with one of his rare, genuine smiles. After dinner, Eleanor suggested they take coffee on the terrace. The evening was warm for October, and the gardens were lit with subtle landscape lighting that made everything look magical. "Sophia, dear, would you mind helping me in the kitchen for a moment?" Eleanor asked. "I want to show you something." Sophia glanced at Ethan, who nodded encouragingly, though she could see the worry in his eyes. In the kitchen, Eleanor poured coffee from an expensive-looking machine, while Sophia stood awkwardly by the island. "You know," Eleanor said conversationally, "I've been wondering about something all evening." Sophia's stomach dropped. "Oh? Ethan has never brought a woman home before, not once in all his 32 years. I'm honored to be the first." Eleanor turned to face her fully, leaning against the counter with her arms crossed. "Sophia, dear, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. Of course, are you in love with my grandson?" The question hit Sophia like a physical blow. She opened her mouth to give the practiced answer but found herself frozen under Eleanor's penetrating stare. Sophia started, then stopped. The truth was, after just one day of pretending to be Ethan's girlfriend, the lines were already blurring in ways that terrified her. "Mrs. Stonewell, Eleanor, I care about Ethan very much. That's not what I asked." Sophia took a deep breath. "I think I could be in love with him. I mean, if we—" She trailed off, realizing she was treading into dangerous territory. Eleanor studied her for a long moment, then smiled. "Good answer. Honest. Real love isn't something that happens overnight, despite what the movies tell us. It's something that grows, that you choose every day." Eleanor picked up the coffee tray. "I like you. Sophia Martinez. You're good for him. How can you tell?" "Because in the 3 hours you've been here, I've seen Ethan smile more than I have in the past 3 years. And when he looks at you," Eleanor shook her head with amusement. "Well, let's just say that boy has it bad, whether he knows it or not." They returned to the terrace, where Ethan and Charles were deep in conversation about some business matter. Ethan immediately stood when he saw Sophia, moving to her side with an unconscious protectiveness that made Eleanor's eyes twinkle. "Everything okay?" he murmured in Sophia's ear. "Perfect," Sophia said, and meant it. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of easy conversation and growing comfort. By the time Eleanor announced it was getting late, Sophia had almost forgotten this was all supposed to be fake. "Juan will show you to your room," Eleanor said, kissing both their cheeks. "Breakfast is at 8, but don't feel obligated to get up early. You're on vacation." "Thank you so much for your hospitality," Sophia said. "This has been wonderful." "The pleasure is all mine, dear. Sleep well." The blue guest room was on the second floor, down a hallway lined with family portraits. When Juan opened the door and left them alone, Sophia felt her nerves return full force. The room was beautiful. Antique furniture, soft blue wallpaper, and French doors leading to a small balcony, and in the center of it all, a massive 4-poster bed that looked like it belonged in a fairy tale. "So," Sophia said, staring at the bed. "That's big. King size," Ethan confirmed. "And I can sleep on the floor. There are extra blankets in the closet. Don't be ridiculous. We're both adults. We can share a bed without it being weird." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Can we?" Sophia's cheeks heated. "Of course we can. It's just sleeping, right? Just sleeping." They stood there for another moment, the tension stretching between them. "I should probably change," Sophia said finally. "Yeah, me too." They both moved toward their bags at the same time, then stopped, then started again in an awkward dance that made them both laugh. You first, Ethan said. I'll wait outside. Thanks. Sophia changed quickly into her pajamas, modest cotton shorts, and a tank top that suddenly seemed far too revealing for sharing a bed with her fake boyfriend. When she opened the door, Ethan was leaning against the wall in the hallway, wearing gray sweatpants and a white t-shirt that showed off his lean frame in ways that made Sophia's mouth go dry. All yours, she said, proud that her voice came out steady. When Ethan returned from changing, Sophia was already in bed, lying as close to one edge as physically possible. He climbed in on the other side, maintaining careful distance between them. Sophia, yeah, you were amazing tonight. Thank you. Sophia turned to face him in the dim light filtering through the curtains. Your family is wonderful. Your grandmother especially. She likes you. That's really important to me. What did your dad say when I went to the kitchen with her? Ethan was quiet for a moment. He said you seemed genuine and that he hasn't seen me this relaxed in years. Is that a good thing? Yeah, Ethan said softly. It's a very good thing. They lay in comfortable silence, listening to the old house settle around them. Sophia was acutely aware of Ethan's presence beside her, the warmth radiating from his body, the sound of his breathing. Ethan, Soph, what happens tomorrow? What do you mean? I mean, do we keep this up? The pretending? Ethan turned onto his side to face her, his expression serious in the moonlight. Do you want to keep pretending? It was a loaded question, and they both knew it. Sophia's heart pounded as she considered her answer. Ask me tomorrow, she whispered. Okay. Sophia closed her eyes, trying to ignore the way her body was hyper-aware of every small movement Ethan made. This was supposed to be fake, she reminded herself. This was supposed to be temporary. So why did lying next to him feel like the most natural thing in the world? Just as she was finally drifting off to sleep, she felt Ethan's fingers brush against hers under the covers. Without thinking, she laced their fingers together. Neither of them pulled away. Stonewell Estate, Greenwich, Connecticut. Sophia woke up slowly, consciousness creeping in through layers of the deepest sleep she'd had in months. The bed was impossibly comfortable, the sheets the softest cotton she'd ever felt, and there was a warm, solid presence pressed against her back that felt absolutely perfect and completely wrong at the same time. Her eyes snapped open. Ethan Stonewell was spooning her. Sometime during the night, they had migrated toward each other like magnets, and now his arm was wrapped around her waist, his face buried in her hair, and she could feel his steady breathing against her neck. Even worse or better, her traitorous body whispered she had apparently clutched his other hand against her chest in her sleep. Sophia lay perfectly still, her mind racing. This was bad. This was very, very bad. Not because Ethan was taking advantage. His touch was respectful, comforting rather than invasive. It was bad because it felt so incredibly right that every cell in her body was screaming at her to stay exactly where she was. She could feel the moment Ethan woke up. His breathing changed first, then his entire body went rigid as he realized their position. Oh, he breathed against her hair. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It's okay, Sophia said quickly, though she made no move to disentangle herself. We were both asleep, right? Asleep, but Ethan didn't move away either. They lay there for another moment, both acutely aware of how perfectly they fit together, how natural this felt. Despite having known each other for less than 24 hours, Sophia, Ethan's voice was rough with sleep, and something else she couldn't identify. Yeah, I need to tell you something. Her heart stopped. Okay, last night, when you were talking to my grandmother the way you described why you fell for me, that thing about me helping the elderly man, what about it? Ethan's arm tightened slightly around her waist. I never told anyone about that. Not my assistant, not anyone. Sophia's breath caught. Then how did I don't know, but you were right. I did spend 3 hours helping Harold Kowalski deal with a contractor who was trying to cheat him out of his life savings. And I do try to help people when I can, even though it's not exactly good for my reputation as a ruthless businessman. Sophia finally turned in his arms, finding herself face to face with Ethan in the soft morning light. His hair was mussed from sleep, his eyes soft and vulnerable, and he looked nothing like the intimidating billionaire who had stormed into his office yesterday morning. Maybe I'm just good at reading people, she said softly. Maybe. His thumb traced along her cheekbone, such a gentle touch that Sophia's eyes fluttered closed. Or maybe you see me better than I see myself. The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility and terror in equal measure. Sophia was acutely aware of how easy it would be to close the distance between them, to let this fake relationship become something devastatingly real. A sharp knock on the door shattered the spell. "Ethan, Sophia," Eleanor's voice called through the wood. "Breakfast is ready when you are." They sprang apart like they'd been electrocuted. Sophia scrambling to her side of the bed, while Ethan sat up and ran his hands through his hair. "We'll be down in 10 minutes. Grandma Ellie," Ethan called back, his voice impressively steady. "Wonderful. And Ethan, your father has some business matters he'd like to discuss with you this morning." Sophia could hear the subtle warning in Eleanor's tone. After her footsteps faded down the hallway, Ethan groaned and fell back against the pillows. "Business matters was code for more interrogation about your mysterious girlfriend, wasn't it?" Sophia guessed. "Probably. My father doesn't believe in coincidences, and our sudden relationship has coincidence written all over it." Sophia sat up, pulling her knees to her chest. "Are you regretting this? Because if you want to call it off..." "No." Ethan's response was immediate and firm. "Sophia, I meant what I said last night. You were incredible with my family. And this morning," he gestured vaguely at the bed, the space between them. "This doesn't feel like pretending anymore. Ethan, I know it's crazy. I know we barely know each other. But I can't shake the feeling that this is the most honest I've been with anyone in years." Sophia stared at him, her heart doing gymnastics in her chest. "This is supposed to be temporary. I know. This is supposed to be fake. I know." Ethan sat up, reaching for her hand. "Sophia, I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm just asking, can we see where this goes? Real or fake? I like having you in my life." Before Sophia could answer, her phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it and frowned. "Everything okay?" Ethan asked. "It's from my building manager. The water damage is worse than they thought. They're saying it could be 2 weeks before residents can move back in." Ethan's expression shifted to something carefully neutral. "That's unfortunate." "Ethan Stonewell, are you happy about my housing crisis?" "I would never be happy about your misfortune," he said solemnly. Then his mouth quirked upward. "But if it means you have to stay in my penthouse a little longer, despite everything..." Sophia laughed. "You're terrible." "Probably. But you like me anyway." "I'm starting to think I do," Sophia admitted, "which is either the best or worst thing that could happen right now." "Let's go with best," Ethan suggested, leaning over to kiss her forehead. The gesture was so tender, so naturally affectionate, that Sophia's heart clenched. "Now, we should probably get dressed before my grandmother comes back with a battering ram." 20 minutes later, they made their way downstairs to find Eleanor and Charles already seated in a sunny breakfast nook overlooking the gardens. The morning light streaming through the windows made everything look like a scene from a magazine spread. "Good morning, you two," Eleanor said warmly. "I hope you slept well." Sophia felt heat rise in her cheeks as she remembered exactly how well she'd slept, curled up against Ethan's chest. "Very well, thank you." "Excellent. Juan has prepared his famous blueberry pancakes. I do hope you're hungry." The breakfast spread was impressive. Fresh fruit, artisanal pastries, eggs, Benedict, and pancakes that smelled like heaven. Sophia was reaching for her coffee when Charles cleared his throat. "Ethan, I've been thinking about our conversation last night." "Which conversation?" Ethan asked carefully. "About Sophia's business plans. Starting a consulting firm is an ambitious goal, but it requires significant capital and connections." Charles turned to Sophia with what she was learning to recognize as his business face. "Have you given thought to the practical aspects? Office space, initial client acquisition, startup costs." Sophia set down her coffee cup. "I have a detailed business plan. Actually, I've been working on it for the past year." "Impressive. And your funding strategy?" "A combination of personal savings, a small business loan, and sweat equity. I believe in starting lean and growing organically." Eleanor watched this exchange with keen interest, while Ethan's jaw had tightened in a way that suggested he was trying not to interfere. "Admirable," Charles said. "Though I imagine having access to Ethan's network would certainly expedite the process." The implication hung in the air like a challenge. Sophia felt her spine straighten. "Mr. Stonewell, I want to be very clear about something. My relationship with Ethan has nothing to do with my business ambitions. I've never asked him for financial help, business connections, or anything else related to my career." "Of course," Charles said smoothly. "I simply meant that successful relationships often involve mutual support and shared goals." "They do," Sophia agreed. "But they also involve respect, trust, and seeing your partner as an individual rather than an asset or liability." Eleanor made a small sound that might have been approval, while Ethan reached under the table to squeeze Sophia's hand. "Well said," Charles conceded. "I apologize if my questions seemed overly pragmatic. I suppose I've spent so many years thinking like a businessman that I sometimes forget to think like a father." The admission seemed to surprise everyone, including Charles himself. Ethan's expression softened. "Dad, I appreciate that you want to protect me, but Sophia isn't Abigail Thornton. She's not interested in what I can do for her financially." "How can you be so certain?" Charles asked. "You've only been together 3 months." "Because," Ethan said, looking directly at Sophia, "in 3 months, she's never once asked me for anything except honesty. And last night, when you were basically interrogating her about her motives, she defended herself instead of hiding behind me." Sophia felt her cheeks warm at the admiration in his voice. "Plus," Ethan continued with a slight smile, "she makes me want to be a better person. That's not something you can fake." Eleanor beamed at this declaration while Charles looked thoughtful. "In that case," Charles said finally, "I owe you an apology, Sophia. My concerns come from a place of love, but that doesn't excuse my rudeness." "Apology accepted," Sophia said graciously. "I understand wanting to protect your family." "Excellent," Eleanor said, clapping her hands together. "Now that we've all cleared the air, let's enjoy breakfast. Sophia, tell me about your family. Ethan mentioned your parents immigrated from Guatemala." The conversation shifted to safer ground, and Sophia found herself relaxing as she talked about her parents' journey to America, her sister Isabella's work as a teacher, and the close-knit community where she'd grown up. Eleanor was a skilled questioner, drawing out stories and details with genuine interest rather than interrogation. "Your parents sound wonderful," Eleanor said when Sophia finished describing her father's carpentry business. "I'd love to meet them sometime." "They'd like that," Sophia said, then caught herself. Would they meet Eleanor? This was all supposed to be temporary, but sitting here in the morning sunlight, talking about family and futures, it was getting harder to remember that. Ethan's phone buzzed, interrupting her thoughts. He glanced at it, and his expression darkened. "Problem?" Eleanor asked. "Abigail," Ethan said grimly. "She wants to meet for lunch today to discuss recent developments." Are you going to go?" Sophia asked. "I have to. The sooner I make things clear to her, the better." Charles frowned. "Son, you need to handle this delicately. Abigail's father is a valuable business partner." "I know, Dad, but I can't keep stringing her along just to protect a business relationship." "Of course not," Eleanor said firmly. "Ethan, you tell that girl the truth that you're in love with Sophia and completely unavailable. If George Thornton can't handle his daughter being turned down gracefully, that's his problem." Sophia's heart skipped at Eleanor's casual use of the word love, even though she knew it was just part of their act. "I should probably come with you," Sophia said. "If Abigail sees us together, it'll make the message clearer." Ethan shook his head. "I don't want to put you in that position. Abigail can be vindictive when she doesn't get her way." "I can handle Abigail Thornton," Sophia said with confidence. She didn't entirely feel. "Are you sure, Ethan?" "I've been handling difficult people my entire life. Trust me." Eleanor smiled approvingly. "I like this girl more every minute." After breakfast, they said their goodbyes with promises to visit again soon. Eleanor hugged Sophia tightly, whispering in her ear, "Take care of him, dear. He needs someone like you." The drive back to Manhattan was quiet, both of them lost in their own thoughts. Sophia found herself stealing glances at Ethan's profile, remembering how it felt to wake up in his arms, the tenderness in his voice when he'd traced her cheek with his thumb. "Penny, for your thoughts?" Ethan asked, catching her staring. "Just thinking about last night. Your family is really special. They like you a lot. My grandmother asked Juan to add you to the Christmas card list." Sophia laughed. "Does that make it official? With Grandma Ellie?" "Absolutely. You're part of the family now, whether you like it or not." The casual statement hit Sophia like a physical blow. Part of the family. It was everything she'd ever wanted, and everything that terrified her about this situation. "Ethan," she said carefully, "what happens when this is over? When you don't need a fake girlfriend anymore?" Ethan was quiet for so long that Sophia thought he might not answer. Finally, he said, "What if I told you I don't want it to be over?" Sophia's heart stopped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that what started as pretend is starting to feel very real to me. And if you're open to it, I'd like to see where this goes for real this time." Sophia stared out the window at the passing landscape, her mind racing. Everything logical told her this was a terrible idea. They barely knew each other. He was her boss. The power dynamic was all wrong. They came from completely different worlds. But her heart was singing a different tune entirely. "The power dynamic makes things complicated," she said finally. "So, We'll figure it out. Maybe you don't want to be my assistant anymore. Maybe you want to start that consulting firm, and I can be your first client. You'd do that, Ethan. At this point, I'd do anything to keep you in my life. Sophia's phone rang before she could respond. Isabella's name appeared on the screen. My sister, Sophia explained to Ethan, then answered, Hey Bella, Sophia Martinez. You have 30 seconds to explain why I just saw a photo of you and Ethan Stonewell on page 6. Sophia's blood turned to ice. What? Page 6? You know, the gossip section? There's a photo of you two holding hands outside some fancy restaurant, and the caption says, Billionaire Ethan Stonewell steps out with mysterious new love. Care to explain? Sophia met Ethan's eyes in panic. Can you send me the link? Already did. Sophia, what the heck is going on? Yesterday you were starting a new job as someone's assistant, and today you're dating a billionaire. It's complicated, Sophia said weakly. Complicated how, Sophia? This guy is worth, like, $1 billion. He's been on the cover of Forbes, and you're you. Thanks for the confidence boost, Sophia said dryly. You know what I mean. You're amazing. But you're also the girl who clips coupons and shops at Target. What are you doing with someone who probably spends more on wine than you make in a year? Sophia closed her eyes. Isabella, I promise I'll explain everything later, but right now, I need you to not tell Mom and Dad about this, okay? Are you kidding? Mom's going to have 17 heart attacks when she sees this. You know she follows all the celebrity gossip accounts on Instagram. Perfect, Sophia muttered. Sophia, seriously, are you okay? This all seems really sudden and intense. Sophia looked at Ethan, who was listening to her side of the conversation with a concerned expression. I'm okay, really. I just need some time to figure things out. Promise me you'll call me tonight. I need the full story. I promise. After Sophia hung up, Ethan reached over to squeeze her hand. We'll handle this, whatever happens. Ethan, my family is going to have so many questions. My mother is going to want to know everything from your credit score to your intentions. Then I'll answer her questions. All of them, honestly. Sophia's phone buzzed with a text from her mother. 3 panic, face emojis, and call me right now. Okay, she said, taking a deep breath. But first, we have to deal with Abigail. And if she's half as vindictive as you say she is, she's probably already seen the page 6 article too. Ethan's jaw tightened. This is exactly what I was afraid of. The publicity, the scrutiny. Sophia, if you want to back out now, I understand completely. Sophia studied his face, seeing the genuine concern there, the way he was already trying to protect her from the consequences of their fake relationship that was becoming increasingly real. Ethan Stonewell, she said firmly, I told you I was in this, and I meant it. Abigail Thornton doesn't scare me. The media doesn't scare me. Your family likes me. My family will adjust. And if you can handle dating someone who shops at Target, I can handle dating someone who makes the gossip pages. Ethan's answering smile was brilliant. In that case, Miss Martinez, I think we need to have a very important conversation about what dating means in this context, such as whether we're still pretending or if we're brave enough to try the real thing. Sophia's heart pounded as she considered the question. Everything rational told her to stick to the plan, keep it fake, protect herself from potential heartbreak. But sitting next to Ethan, remembering how right it felt to wake up in his arms, thinking about the way he'd defended her to his father and the tenderness in his grandmother's eyes when she looked at them together, Sophia realized she was already in too deep to protect herself. Ask me again after we deal with Abigail, she said. If we can survive whatever she throws at us, maybe we can survive anything. Deal? Ethan said, lifting their joined hands to press a kiss to her knuckles. Deal. But Sophia, for the record, I'm already hoping the answer is yes. As they pulled into the city, Sophia's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an unknown number. Saw the news. We need to talk. Sophia showed Ethan the message, and his expression hardened. Bring it on, he muttered. Sophia squeezed his hand tighter. Whatever Abigail Thornton had planned, they would face it together. And maybe, just maybe, they'd come out the other side with something real worth fighting for. The pretending was officially over. Now came the hard part. Figuring out if what they had was strong enough to survive the real world. The Plaza Hotel, Manhattan, New York. Abigail Thornton had chosen the Oak Room at the Plaza for their confrontation, and Sophia had to admit it was a power move. The opulent dining room, with its crystal chandeliers and gold-leafed ceiling, was designed to intimidate. Abigail sat at a corner table, wearing a white Chanel suit that probably cost more than Sophia's monthly rent. Her platinum blonde hair styled in a perfect chignon, red lips curved in what could generously be called a smile. Sophia had dressed carefully for this encounter. A navy blazer over a cream silk blouse, her hair pulled back in a sleek bun, minimal but elegant jewelry. She wanted to look professional, confident, and completely unimpressed by Abigail's wealth and connections. Ethan walked beside her, his hand resting protectively on her lower back. As they navigated through the restaurant, Sophia could feel the curious stares of other diners. Apparently, their Page 6 debut had made them recognizable to the Manhattan social scene. "Ethan, darling." Abigail rose from her seat with practiced grace, air-kissing both of Ethan's cheeks before turning to Sophia with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "And Sophia, how lovely to see you again." "Abigail," Ethan said coolly, pulling out Sophia's chair before taking his own seat. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "Oh, I wouldn't miss this for the world," Abigail said, settling back into her chair like a queen holding court. After all, it's not every day that one's almost fiancé announces he's been secretly dating his secretary. Sophia felt Ethan tense beside her. "Abigail, we've never been engaged. We've never even been on a proper date." "Details." Abigail waved a manicured hand dismissively. "Our fathers have had an understanding for months. Everyone in our circle knows we're meant to be together." "Everyone except me, apparently," Ethan said dryly. Abigail's smile sharpened. "Yes, well, that's what makes this situation so fascinating. Tell me, Sophia dear, how exactly does one go from serving coffee to dating a billionaire in the span of a few months?" Sophia had been prepared for this attack. Hard work, genuine connection, and not treating relationships like business mergers. "How refreshingly naive," Abigail laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "You really think this is about love, don't you?" "I know it is." Sophia replied firmly. "Do you?" "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like a very convenient arrangement. Ethan needed to escape his family's expectations, and you needed a way out of your ordinary little life." Ethan's voice was dangerously quiet. "Abigail, I'd suggest you be very careful about what you say next." "Oh, I'm just getting started," Abigail said, turning her attention back to Sophia. "I had my people do a little research on you, Sophia Martinez. Very impressive resume, by the way. Columbia MBA, graduated summa cum laude, excellent references, but also student loan debt in the six figures, parents who work blue-collar jobs, sister who teaches in an underfunded public school. Must be nice to suddenly have access to unlimited resources." Sophia's hands clenched in her lap, but her voice remained steady. "My family's circumstances don't define my worth, Abigail, and they certainly don't determine my motives, don't they? Because I'm looking at a woman who went from struggling to pay off student loans to wearing a $5,000 blazer and dining at the plaza. That's quite a transformation for someone who supposedly isn't interested in Ethan's money." Sophia glanced down at her blazer in confusion. She'd bought it at Nordstrom Rack for $200. Ethan followed her gaze, and his expression darkened as he realized what Abigail was doing. "Abigail," Ethan said, his voice carrying a warning. "Sophia didn't ask for anything, and I haven't bought her anything. Unlike some people, she's with me for who I am, not what I have." "How touching," Abigail said. "But let's be honest about what this really is. Sophia, you're attractive and intelligent, I'll give you that, but you're also temporary. Ethan is going through a phase, rebelling against his family's expectations. Once he gets tired of playing at being a regular person, he'll remember who he really is and what he really needs." "And what is that?" Sophia asked, genuinely curious to hear Abigail's twisted logic. "A partner who understands his world, someone who can handle the pressures of being married to one of the most powerful men in America, someone who won't embarrass him at charity galas or board meetings." Abigail leaned forward, her voice becoming more intense. "Ethan needs someone who can help him build an empire, not someone who will hold him back." "You mean someone who will treat marriage like a business acquisition?" Sophia said. "Someone who will smile pretty and never challenge him or expect him to be a real person instead of just a bank account." Abigail's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing genuine anger. "You have no idea what you're talking about. You think love is enough? You think your little fairy tale romance can survive the reality of Ethan's life? The media scrutiny, the social obligations, the constant pressure. I think Ethan is strong enough to handle whatever comes his way and smart enough to choose a partner who makes him happy rather than one who makes him miserable," Sophia replied. Happiness is a luxury, Sophia. Ethan has responsibilities. He has a legacy to uphold. Ethan had been listening to this exchange with growing fury, and finally, he'd heard enough. Abigail, stop. Just stop. Ethan, I'm trying to help you see reason. No. You're trying to manipulate me the same way you've been trying to manipulate me for months. Sophia is right about one thing. You do see marriage as a business acquisition, but I'm not a company to be acquired. And I'm not interested in a wife who thinks love is a luxury. Abigail's composure cracked further. She's going to break your heart, Ethan. She's going to realize that your world is too much for her, and she's going to leave. And when she does, you'll remember that I warned you. Maybe, Ethan said quietly, but that's my choice to make. And Abigail, even if Sophia did break my heart, I'd rather have my heart broken by someone I love than spend my life with someone I don't. The words hung in the air between them. Sophia felt her breath catch. It was the first time Ethan had used the word love in reference to their relationship. Even indirectly, Abigail sat back in her chair, her perfect mask finally slipping completely. For a moment, Sophia saw past the polished exterior to the woman underneath, someone who was genuinely hurt and confused by Ethan's rejection. I don't understand, Abigail said, and for the first time her voice sounded small. We make sense, Ethan. On paper, we're perfect for each other. Our families, our backgrounds, our goals, everything aligns. On paper, yes, Ethan agreed gently. But Abigail, when was the last time we had a real conversation? When did we last laugh together or disagree about something meaningful or challenge each other to be better? Abigail opened her mouth, then closed it, clearly struggling for an answer. You're a remarkable woman, Ethan continued. You're intelligent, accomplished, and beautiful. But we don't bring out the best in each other. We never have, and she does. Abigail's gaze flicked to Sophia with a mixture of resentment and genuine curiosity. Ethan turned to look at Sophia, his expression soft and wondering. She makes me want to be the man I am when no one else is watching. She sees through all the walls I've built, and somehow still likes what she finds underneath. Sophia felt tears prick at her eyes. This was supposed to be an act, a performance to convince Abigail to back off, but the sincerity in Ethan's voice, the vulnerability in his expression, this wasn't pretending anymore. Abigail watched this exchange with growing understanding. You're really in love with her. Yes, Ethan said simply. I am. Sophia's heart stopped. This wasn't part of their script. This wasn't strategic or calculated. This was Ethan Stonewell, billionaire CEO, admitting his feelings in front of the woman he was supposed to marry, and the entire dining room of the plaza. Abigail was quiet for a long moment, studying both of their faces. Finally, she sighed. Well, this is humiliating. Abigail, Ethan began. No, it's fine. I mean, it's not fine. It's absolutely mortifying. But Abigail straightened her shoulders, some of her natural poise returning. I suppose I owe you both an apology. Sophia blinked in surprise. You do? I've been behaving like a spoiled child who can't understand why she can't have the toy she wants. But you're not a toy, Ethan. You're a person with your own feelings and desires. And I've been trying to override those for months. Ethan's expression softened. Abigail, I should have been clearer about my feelings from the beginning. I was a coward, and I'm sorry for that. Yes, you were, Abigail agreed with a slight smile. But I also wasn't listening when you tried to tell me. I was so convinced that I knew what was best for both of us that I couldn't hear what you were actually saying. She turned to Sophia, her expression becoming more thoughtful. Sophia, I owe you an apology as well. My comments about your background and your motives were unfair and unkind. I was lashing out because I felt threatened. Threatened by me? Sophia asked, genuinely surprised. By what you represent. You're everything. I'm not authentic, unpretentious, capable of loving someone without calculating what you'll get in return. I've spent so much of my life thinking strategically that I'd forgotten how to feel genuinely. Sophia felt an unexpected surge of sympathy for the other woman. Abigail, that doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you someone who's been taught that emotions are weaknesses instead of strengths. Perhaps. Abigail smiled, and for the first time, it reached her eyes. You know, I think I actually like you, Sophia Martinez, which is extremely inconvenient, considering I was planning to hate you forever. Despite everything, Sophia laughed. I like you too when you're not threatening to destroy my life. About that, Abigail said, looking slightly embarrassed, I may have made some calls this morning to gossip columnists, society bloggers, that sort of thing. I was planning to make your life quite difficult. Ethan's expression hardened. Abigail, but I'm going to fix it. Abigail said quickly. "I'll call them all back and tell them I was mistaken. That you two are perfectly lovely together, and anyone who says otherwise will have to deal with me." Sophia raised an eyebrow. "Why would you do that?" "Because," Abigail said, gathering her purse and standing up, "someone who can make Ethan Stonewell admit he's in love in the middle of the plaza deserves to be protected, not destroyed, and because I'm tired of being the villain in everyone else's love story." She paused, looking down at both of them. "For what it's worth, I think you're good for each other. Ethan, Sophia makes you more human. And Sophia, Ethan will help you realize that you're extraordinary, not ordinary." "Abigail," Ethan said, standing as well, "what will you tell your father and mine?" Abigail shrugged elegantly. "That you're unavailable, and I'm moving on. Daddy will be disappointed about the business merger, but he'll survive. As for your father, well, he'll have to accept that his son is capable of making his own decisions about love." She turned to go, then paused. "Oh, and Sophia, that blazer isn't $5,000. I was trying to rattle you, but it is very flattering." With that, Abigail Thornton swept out of the plaza with the same dramatic flair she'd entered with, leaving Ethan and Sophia sitting in stunned silence. "Did that really just happen?" Sophia asked finally. "I think Abigail Thornton just gave us her blessing," Ethan said, sounding as confused as Sophia felt. "And you just told her you love me?" Ethan went very still. "Sophia, in front of half of Manhattan's social elite, I got caught up in the moment. If you want to stick to the fake relationship story, Ethan," Sophia reached across the table to take his hand. "Was it real? What you said to Abigail?" Ethan looked down at their joined hands, then back up at her face. Every word. Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. Even the part about love? Especially that part. Ethan's thumb traced across her knuckles. "I know it's crazy. I know we've only known each other for 2 days. But Sophia, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. How do you feel about me?" Ethan was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Like I've been holding my breath my entire life, and you're the first person who's made me want to breathe again. Like I've been performing a role for so long that I'd forgotten who I really was until you showed up and saw the real me. Anyway, Sophia, what started as pretending has become the most real thing in my life." Sophia studied his face, the vulnerability in his eyes, the way he was holding himself so carefully, like he was prepared for her to bolt at any moment. This man, who commanded boardrooms and made million-dollar decisions, was terrified that she might not feel the same way. "Can I tell you something?" she said softly. "Anything. When I woke up this morning in your arms, for about 30 seconds, I forgot this was supposed to be fake. It felt so natural, so right, that my brain just accepted it as reality." Ethan's eyes searched her face. "And how did that feel?" "Terrifying," Sophia admitted. "And perfect." "Sophia," Ethan's voice was rough with emotion, "are you saying I'm saying that I think I'm falling in love with you too, Ethan Stonewell? And that scares me more than Abigail Thornton ever could." Ethan's answering smile was brilliant. Without warning, he stood up, pulled Sophia to her feet, and kissed her right there in the middle of the plaza's dining room. It wasn't like their first kiss, desperate and strategic. This kiss was soft and sure and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, Sophia was vaguely aware of applause from nearby tables. Apparently, their little drama had been more entertaining than whatever society gossip usually passed for conversation. "So," Ethan said, resting his forehead against hers, "what happens now?" "Now," Sophia said, smiling up at him, "we figure out how to make this work for real this time. Are you sure? Because once we do this, there's no going back to pretending. Everyone will know that Sophia Martinez is dating Ethan Stonewell." "Let them know," Sophia said boldly. "I'm not ashamed of falling for you, even though I'm your boss." "Former boss," Sophia corrected. "I think I'm ready to start that consulting firm a little earlier than planned." Ethan laughed. "And I think I'd like to be your first client." "Conflict of interest, definitely, but I'm willing to risk it if you are." Sophia stood on her tiptoes to kiss him again, softer this time, savoring the moment. "Ethan, yeah, your grandmother is going to be insufferably smug about this. She's going to take full credit for bringing us together." "Did she?" Ethan considered this seriously. "Actually, I think she might have. Grandma Ellie has a way of orchestrating things without anyone realizing it until after the fact. Remind me to send her a thank you card. I'll add it to the list right after Survive Sophia's family meeting me and figure out how to date my former assistant without causing a corporate scandal." Sophia laughed. "One crisis at a time." Stonewell. As they walked out of the plaza together, Neither of them noticed the photographer across the street capturing the moment Ethan spun Sophia around on the sidewalk, both of them laughing like teenagers. By evening, the photo would be on every gossip blog in the city, with captions about billionaire romance and modern fairy tales. But for now, they were just Ethan and Sophia, two people who had found something real in the middle of pretending, walking hand in hand into whatever came next. Sophia's phone buzzed with a text from Isabella. "Okay, now I need the full story. Call me immediately." Ethan's phone chimed with a message from Eleanor. "Saw the news coverage. Well done, dear. Dinner Sunday at 6. Don't be late." They looked at each other and burst out laughing. "Ready for this?" Ethan asked. "Bring it on," Sophia said, squeezing his hand tighter. And as they disappeared into the New York crowd, both of them knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, family drama, media attention, corporate complications, they would face them together. After all, they'd already survived Abigail Thornton. Everything else would be easy. 3 months later, Ethan's penthouse, Upper East Side. Sophia Martinez Stonewell, she was still getting used to the hyphenated name, stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of what was now officially their penthouse, watching the sun set over Central Park, while nursing a cup of coffee that had long since gone cold. The past 3 months had been a whirlwind of changes that still left her dizzy when she thought about them too much. Her consulting firm, Martinez Strategic Solutions, had officially launched 6 weeks ago with Ethan as her first client, though she'd quickly gained 3 more when word spread about her innovative approach to corporate restructuring. The irony wasn't lost on her that her fake relationship had led to a very real career opportunity that had nothing to do with Ethan's connections and everything to do with her own abilities. Well, mostly nothing to do with Ethan's connections. She'd be lying if she said the Stonewell name didn't open doors. But she'd been careful to prove herself on merit alone once those doors were open. "You're thinking too hard again." Ethan's voice came from behind her, warm with affection and tinged with amusement. I can practically hear the gears turning from the kitchen. Sophia turned to find him leaning against the doorframe, still wearing his suit from work, but with his tie loosened and his sleeves rolled up. Even after 3 months of waking up next to him, the sight of Ethan Stonewell looking rumpled and domestic still made her heart do little flips. "Just reflecting on how bizarre my life has become," she said, moving toward him. 6 months ago, I was eating ramen noodles for dinner and stressing about student loan payments. Now I'm married to a billionaire and running my own company. Technically, we've only been married for 2 weeks, Ethan pointed out, sliding his arms around her waist and pulling her close. "And you were always going to run your own company. I just helped speed up the timeline. 2 weeks married, 3 months together, and it still feels surreal," Sophia admitted, resting her hands on his chest. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm going to wake up and find out this was all an elaborate dream." Ethan's expression grew serious. "Sophia, do you regret any of it? The speed we moved at, the marriage, the media attention?" It was a fair question. Their relationship had unfolded in the public eye with an intensity that had been overwhelming at times. The engagement announcement, after just 2 months together, had sent the gossip columnists into overdrive. The wedding, a small, elegant ceremony at the Stonewell estate with only immediate family, had still somehow generated 3 magazine covers and countless blog posts about modern Cinderella stories. Sophia's family had been shell-shocked but supportive, though her mother still occasionally looked at Ethan like he might vanish if she blinked too hard. Ethan's family had been thrilled, with Eleanor Stonewell taking full credit for orchestrating their romance and already dropping hints about great-grandchildren. "No," Sophia said firmly, "I don't regret any of it. It's been overwhelming. But Ethan, I've never been happier. Even when reporters were camped outside my parents' house, or when that awful woman at the charity gala made those comments about my background, or when the Wall Street Journal wrote that entire article speculating about whether I was a gold digger or a genius. Even through all of that, I've never doubted that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be." Ethan's arms tightened around her. The Wall Street Journal article had been particularly brutal, questioning everything from Sophia's motives to her qualifications, to her impact on Ethan's business decisions. It had taken every ounce of Sophia's self-control not to write a response, and every ounce of Ethan's restraint not to buy the newspaper just to fire the entire editorial staff. "That article was garbage," Ethan said, his voice still carrying traces of the anger he'd felt when it was published. "You've proven yourself 10 times over. Your client list speaks for itself. I know, and honestly, the criticism has made me work even harder to prove them wrong. There's something satisfying about succeeding, in spite of people's low expectations, very satisfying. Ethan agreed, especially when those people have to eat their words publicly. Did you see the Forbes piece about you last week? Sophia grinned. Rising stars in business consulting. Sophia Martinez. Stonewall takes on corporate America. I may have framed it, as you should have, Ethan said with a smile. Though I think my favorite part was when they called you a formidable strategist with an intuitive understanding of organizational dynamics and a refreshing lack of pretension. Your favorite part was when they mentioned that your company's efficiency has increased by 23% since implementing my recommendations. That too, Ethan admitted with a smile. I love being married to someone smarter than me. You love being married to someone who challenges you, Sophia corrected. There's a difference. Both, Ethan said, leaning down to kiss her softly. I love being married to you. Period. The kiss might have led to something more interesting, but Sophia's phone chose that moment to ring with Isabella's ringtone. Your sister has impeccable timing, Ethan muttered against her lips. She always has, Sophia said, reluctantly pulling away to answer. Hey, Bella. Sophia, thank goodness. I need your help with Mom. Isabella's voice came through. Sophia put the phone on speaker so Ethan could hear. Over the past 3 months, he'd become something of a favorite with Sophia's family. Despite their initial shock at his wealth and status, Isabella in particular had warmed to him after he'd quietly arranged for her underfunded school to receive a substantial anonymous donation for their arts program. What's wrong with Mom? Sophia asked. She's been planning your housewarming party for 3 weeks, and I think she's having a nervous breakdown. She keeps asking me if she should serve empanadas or if that's too ethnic for Ethan's fancy friends. Sophia and Ethan exchanged glances. The housewarming party had been Sophia's idea, a way to officially introduce their families and closest friends to their new life together. But Maria Martinez had taken the planning as seriously as a state dinner, determined to prove that her daughter's new family was worthy of respect. Tell Mom that Ethan's fancy friends can eat empanadas or they can go hungry, Sophia said firmly, and that if anyone has a problem with our family's culture, they're not really our friends anyway. I tried that. She said she wants to make a good impression. Ethan stepped closer to the phone. Isabella, tell your mother that if she doesn't make her famous empanadas, I'm going to be personally offended. I've been looking forward to them for weeks. Isabella laughed. Oh, good. You're there too. Maybe you can talk some sense into her. She's also convinced that your grandmother is going to judge our furniture. My grandmother grew up during the Depression, Ethan said dryly. She's going to be more interested in whether your mother's furniture is comfortable than whether it's expensive. Trust me. See? Tell Mom that, Sophia added. And Isabella, remind her that Eleanor specifically asked for Mom's tres leches cake recipe. That's not something you do for people you're planning to judge. I'll try. But you know how she gets when she's nervous. Sophia did know. Maria Martinez had raised 2 daughters to be proud of their heritage, while also being acutely aware of how the world might judge them for it. Meeting her new son-in-law's billionaire family was bringing out all her protective instincts and insecurities at once. We'll come over tomorrow to help with the preparations, Sophia promised. Ethan can charm Mom out of her anxiety spiral, and I'll handle the logistics. Perfect. And Sophia, thanks for marrying someone who actually likes our family instead of tolerating them. After Isabella hung up, Ethan shook his head with amusement. Your mother is terrified of my grandmother, isn't she? Completely. Even though they got along perfectly at the wedding. Well, to be fair, Grandma Ellie can be intimidating when she wants to be. Remember when she made that real estate developer cry at the charity auction? That was different. He was trying to cheat the children's hospital out of money. True. Your mother has nothing to worry about. Grandma Ellie already loves her. Sophia leaned back against Ethan's chest, feeling his arms settle around her again. It's strange, isn't it? How quickly our families have blended together. Strange good or strange bad. Strange wonderful. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. Ethan was quiet for a moment, and Sophia could feel him thinking, Sophia, can I tell you something that might sound crazy? After everything we've been through, I think I can handle crazy. I don't think anything's going to go wrong. I think we're actually going to be one of those couples who make it look easy. Sophia twisted in his arms to look at him. What makes you say that? Because we've already survived the hardest part. We started with a lie and found truth. We've weathered public scrutiny, family drama, and corporate politics. We've been tested in ways most couples never are. And we came through stronger. We also fell in love in 2 days and got married after 3 months. Sophia pointed out, that's not exactly a recipe for stability. Isn't it, Sophia? We didn't have the luxury of taking things slow or pretending to be people we're not. We had to be real with each other from the beginning because the stakes were too high for games. Sophia considered this. You think the fake relationship actually helped us build a real one? I think it forced us to be honest about what we wanted and who we were. Most couples spend months or years carefully revealing themselves to each other. We had to jump into the deep end immediately. And you think that's better for us? Yes, Sophia. I knew I wanted to marry you after 1 week. Not because of some romantic fantasy, but because I'd already seen you handle pressure, stand up for yourself, charm my family, and challenge me to be better. I'd seen you angry, nervous, confident, and vulnerable. Most people don't get that kind of complete picture until they've been together for years. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes. When you put it like that, it almost sounds rational. Almost, Ethan agreed with a smile. Though I'm still not sure how we'll explain to our future children that Mommy and Daddy fell in love because Daddy needed a fake girlfriend to avoid an arranged marriage. We'll think of something, Sophia said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him. Maybe we'll tell them it was love at first sight. Was it? Sophia thought back to that first morning in Ethan's office when he'd stormed in looking like a rumpled, frustrated hurricane. She remembered the moment their eyes had met, the immediate spark of awareness, the way he'd looked at her like she was a puzzle he wanted to solve. Maybe not love at first sight, she said slowly, but definitely recognition. Like some part of me knew you were going to be important. I felt it too, Ethan admitted. Even before I kissed you, there was something about you that felt familiar, like I'd been waiting for you without knowing it. They stood there for a moment, wrapped up in each other and the quiet contentment of their life together. Outside, the city buzzed with its usual energy, but inside their home, everything felt peaceful and right. Ethan, Sophia said eventually. Soph, I have something to tell you. Ethan pulled back to look at her, noting the slight nervousness in her voice. Good something or bad something? Good something, I think, I hope. Sophia took a deep breath. I got a call today from Abigail. Ethan's eyebrows rose. Abigail Thornton? What did she want? To offer me a job. Actually, her father's company is looking for a strategic consultant for a major expansion, and she recommended me. It would be a huge contract, Ethan, big enough to establish my firm as a major player in the industry. Ethan's expression was carefully neutral. And how do you feel about working with Abigail? Honestly, I think it could be good for both of us. She's brilliant at what she does, and I respect her professionalism. Plus, there's something poetic about her helping me succeed after initially trying to destroy me. Do you want to take the job? Sophia searched his face for any sign of discomfort or jealousy. Do you want me to take it? I want you to do whatever makes you happy and helps you build the career you want. If that means working with my ex-almost fiancé, then I'll deal with any weirdness that comes up. There won't be any weirdness, Sophia said confidently. Abigail and I have actually become sort of friends. She sends me articles about business strategy, and I send her updates about my projects. It's nice having another woman to talk to who understands the corporate world. Plus, she probably knows all the gossip about our social circle, Ethan added with amusement. That too. Did you know that Elizabeth Morrison is having an affair with her tennis instructor? I did not. And I'm not sure I wanted to know that. Sophia laughed. Sorry. But seriously, Ethan, I think Abigail and I have found a way to be friends. She's not the same person who confronted us at the plaza. People change, Ethan agreed, especially when they stop trying to force life to fit their expectations and start adapting to what actually happens. Speaking of adapting to what actually happens, Sophia said, her tone becoming more serious, there's something else we need to talk about. Ethan's expression grew alert. Okay, your board meeting next week. I know they're going to bring up our marriage again. Ethan's jaw tightened. Let them. Our personal life is none of their business. It is when some of them think I'm a distraction or a liability. Ethan, I don't want to be the reason you have problems with your board. Sophia, you're not a problem. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, professionally and personally. My work has never been better. My decision-making has never been clearer. And I've never been more motivated to succeed. I know that, and you know that. But some of your board members still see me as the secretary who seduced the boss. Then they're idiots who don't deserve their positions. Sophia took his hands in hers. Ethan, I've been thinking about this a lot. And I have an idea. I'm listening. What if I presented to the board? Showed them exactly what I do, how my work has benefited Stonewell Corporation, and what my plans are for Martinez Strategic Solutions. Let them see for themselves that I'm not some gold-digging distraction but a legitimate businesswoman who happens to be married to their CEO. Ethan was quiet for a long moment, considering this. Sophia, You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. I don't have to, but I want to. Ethan, I love you, and I love our life together. But I also love my work, and I want to be taken seriously in this industry. If presenting to your board helps accomplish that, then it's worth it. What if they're hostile? What if they ask inappropriate questions? Sophia smiled. Then I'll handle them the same way I handled Abigail and your father and every other person who's underestimated me with facts, professionalism, and just enough confidence to make them realize they've made a mistake. Ethan stared at her for a moment, then shook his head with admiration. You know what? I think that's a brilliant idea, and I think watching you present is going to be one of the highlights of my career. Even if I make some of your board members uncomfortable? Especially if you make them uncomfortable. They've gotten too comfortable with their prejudices. It's time someone challenged them. Sophia stood on her tiptoes to kiss him, pouring all her love and gratitude into the gesture. Have I mentioned lately that I love being married to you? Not in the last hour, Ethan said against her lips, but I never get tired of hearing it. The next week passed in a blur of preparation. Sophia spent hours crafting her presentation, wanting to strike the perfect balance between confidence and humility, professionalism and personality. Ethan helped her practice, playing the role of skeptical board member with uncomfortable accuracy. Mrs. Martinez Stonewell, he said in his best pompous old man voice, some might say that your rapid success is more due to your personal connections than your professional abilities. How would you respond to that? I'd say that my client results speak for themselves, Sophia replied smoothly. While my marriage to Ethan certainly opened doors, it was my work that kept those doors open and brought in additional clients. I can provide detailed case studies and client testimonials if you'd like to review them. Excellent, Ethan said, dropping the act, confident, but not defensive. Perfect. The morning of the board meeting, Sophia dressed carefully in a navy blue suit that projected authority without being overly flashy. She'd learned over the past few months how to walk the line between being taken seriously and being accused of trying too hard. Ready? Ethan asked as they rode the elevator to the Stonewell Corporation boardroom. Ready, Sophia said. Though her heart was pounding, the boardroom was exactly what Sophia had expected. A long mahogany table surrounded by leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, and oil portraits of previous Stonewell CEOs looking down with stern approval. The board members were also exactly what she'd expected. Mostly older white men in expensive suits, with a few women and younger members scattered throughout. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan said as they entered, I'd like you to meet my wife, Sophia Martinez Stonewell, and the founder of Martinez Strategic Solutions. Sophia stepped forward with a confident smile. Thank you for allowing me to present today. I'm excited to share some insights about strategic consulting and how it can benefit large corporations like Stonewell. For the next 30 minutes, Sophia walked them through her methodology, her results with various clients, and her specific recommendations for companies looking to improve efficiency and innovation. She fielded questions with grace and intelligence, providing detailed answers without becoming defensive. Mrs. Martinez Stonewell, said Robert Fitzpatrick, one of the older board members, this is all very impressive, but I have to ask, how do we know your recommendations for our company aren't influenced by your personal relationship with our CEO? Sophia had been expecting this question. That's an excellent point, Mr. Fitzpatrick, which is why I've never provided strategic consulting to Stonewell Corporation beyond the initial efficiency analysis that led to your 23% productivity increase. My recommendations for Ethan are the same ones I give all my clients. Hire an external consultant with no personal ties to the company. You'd recommend against hiring yourself? Asked Linda Chen, one of the younger board members. Absolutely. The appearance of impropriety would undermine both my professional reputation and Ethan's leadership credibility. However, I would be happy to recommend several excellent consultants who could provide the strategic analysis Stonewell Corporation needs for its upcoming expansion. The room was quiet for a moment as the board members absorbed this. Sophia could see the surprise on several faces. They'd clearly expected her to try to leverage her marriage for business opportunities. That's quite refreshing, said Margaret Whitfield, the longest-serving board member. Most consultants try to expand their client base, not recommend competitors. I'm more interested in building a sustainable reputation than maximizing short-term profits, Sophia replied. In the long run, ethical business practices and client satisfaction are worth more than any individual contract. After Sophia finished her presentation and left the room, Ethan rejoined the board meeting to find a very different atmosphere than he'd expected. "Ethan," Robert Fitzpatrick said, "I owe you an apology. I had some concerns about your marriage affecting your professional judgment. But after meeting your wife, I can see that she's a remarkable businesswoman in her own right." "She certainly is," agreed Linda Chen. "I was particularly impressed by her ethical standards. Recommending against hiring herself shows real integrity." "So, we're all in agreement?" Ethan asked. "No more questions about whether my marriage is affecting my ability to lead this company. I think your wife just proved that, if anything, your marriage has improved your judgment." Margaret Whitfield said with a smile, "Anyone who can find a partner that intelligent and ethical clearly knows how to make good decisions." That evening, Ethan and Sophia celebrated at their favorite restaurant, not the trendy, expensive places Ethan used to frequent, but a small Italian place in Sophia's old neighborhood, where the food was incredible and the atmosphere was warm and unpretentious. "To surviving your first corporate board presentation," Ethan said, raising his wine glass, "to having a husband who supports my career even when it's complicated," Sophia replied, clinking her glass against his. "So, what's next for Martinez Strategic Solutions?" "Well, I'm definitely taking the Thornton Industries contract, and I have 2 other potential clients interested in my services. If everything goes well, I might need to hire an associate by the end of the year." "That's incredible. Sophia, you're building exactly the kind of company you dreamed of." "We're building it," Sophia corrected. "Ethan, none of this would have been possible without your support, not just the initial opportunity, but everything since then. You've believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. You would have succeeded with or without me," Ethan said firmly. "Maybe it would have taken longer, but Sophia, you're too talented and too determined to fail." "Maybe, but I'm glad I didn't have to find out." They ate in comfortable silence for a while, both lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Sophia reached across the table to take Ethan's hand. "Ethan, yeah, I love our life. All of it. The chaos and the media attention, and the family drama, and the business complications. I love that we're building something together. Even when reporters follow us to the grocery store. Even then, though I still think it's ridiculous that anyone cares what kind of cereal we buy. Whole grain. Apparently very responsible of us," Ethan teased. Sophia laughed. "I love that you can make jokes about it now. Remember how stressed you were about the media attention at first? I was terrified that you'd decide it wasn't worth it," Ethan admitted. "That you'd get tired of being in the spotlight and leave." "Never," Sophia said firmly. "Ethan, I meant what I said in our wedding vows. I'm in this for the long haul, media circus and all." "Good," Ethan said, bringing her hand to his lips to press a soft kiss to her palm. "Because I have plans for us." "What kind of plans?" "The kind that involve growing old together and embarrassing our children with stories about how we met." "I like those plans," Sophia said softly. As they walked home through the bustling New York streets, hand in hand like any other couple in love, Sophia reflected on how far they'd come from that first, desperate kiss in Ethan's office. What had started as a lie had become the truest thing in her life. "Ethan," she said as they reached their building, "remember when you asked me what happens tomorrow?" "Of course. I think I finally have an answer." Ethan stopped walking and turned to face her, his expression curious and tender. "What happens tomorrow, Sophia Martinez Stonewell?" Sophia smiled up at her husband. This impossible man who had changed her entire world with one impulsive kiss. "Tomorrow, we wake up together. We have coffee and read the newspaper and argue about whose turn it is to do the dishes. Tomorrow, I go to work building my dream company, and you go to work running your family empire. Tomorrow, we have dinner with our families and laugh at your grandmother's stories and listen to my mother worry about whether we're eating enough vegetables. And the day after that, the same, and the day after that, and the day after that. Ethan, tomorrow we get to be married to each other. And the day after that. And every day for the rest of our lives." Ethan's smile was radiant. "I can't think of anything I want more. Not even a quiet life without paparazzi and board meetings and family drama. Especially not that," Ethan said, pulling her close. "Sophia, quiet was killing me. You brought noise and chaos and color into my life, and I never want to go back to the way things were before." As they rode the elevator up to their penthouse, Sophia thought about how perfectly this crazy love story had worked out. They'd started with a fake relationship designed to solve Ethan's family problems and ended up with a real marriage that had solved problems neither of them had realized they had. "Ethan," Sophia said as they reached their door. "Yeah, I think we're going to be disgustingly happy together." "Absolutely disgusting," Ethan agreed. Unlocking their door, and pulling her inside. "I can't wait." And as the door closed behind them, shutting out the world and leaving them alone in the home they'd built together, Sofia Martinez Stonewell knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she belonged. The fake relationship that had started with a desperate kiss had become a real marriage built on love, respect, and the kind of partnership that makes two people stronger together than they ever could have been apart. It was. Sofia thought as Ethan spun her around their living room while imaginary music played. The perfect ending to their imperfect, impossible, absolutely perfect love story. Epilogue. 1 year later. "And that," Sofia said, looking out at the audience of young business professionals, "is why I always recommend being authentic in your client relationships, especially when the stakes are high." She was delivering the keynote address at Columbia's annual entrepreneurship conference, sharing the lessons she'd learned building Martinez Strategic Solutions from a one-woman operation into a firm with 12 employees and clients across 3 industries. In the audience, Ethan watched his wife command the stage with the same confidence and grace she brought to everything else in her life. He still got a thrill watching Sofia in her element. Whether she was presenting to potential clients, debating strategy with her team, or charming his grandmother at Sunday dinner. "Now," Sofia continued, "I'll take a few questions before we wrap up." A young woman in the 3rd row raised her hand. "Miss Martinez Stonewell, there have been persistent rumors about how you got your start in business. Some people say you only succeeded because you married Ethan Stonewell. How do you respond to that?" Sofia smiled, completely unfazed by the question she'd been asked in various forms dozens of times over the past year. "I respond by saying that my marriage to Ethan certainly opened doors for me, and I've never pretended otherwise. But here's the thing about doors. They only stay open if you prove you deserve to walk through them." She gestured to the presentation screen behind her, which showed Martinez Strategic Solutions client testimonials and success metrics. "My work speaks for itself. Yes, being married to Ethan gave me opportunities I might not have had otherwise. But keeping those opportunities, building on them, and creating a sustainable business that was all about proving my value through results." The young woman nodded, apparently satisfied with the answer. "Anyone else?" Sofia asked. A young man near the back raised his hand. "What advice would you give to someone starting their own consulting firm?" "Be prepared to work harder than you've ever worked in your life," Sofia said immediately. "Be prepared to question everything you think you know about business and about yourself. And most importantly, be prepared to be honest with your clients, with your team, and with yourself about what you're capable of." She paused, thinking, "And remember that success isn't just about making money or building a big company. Success is about creating something that makes you excited to get up in the morning. Something that uses your talents and serves your values. If you can do that, everything else will follow." After the conference ended, Ethan waited for Sofia outside the auditorium, leaning against the wall and scrolling through emails on his phone. He looked up when he heard her familiar laugh echoing down the hallway. "There's my brilliant wife," he said, straightening up as she approached. "There's my supportive husband," Sofia replied, rising on her tiptoes to kiss him. "How much of the presentation did you hear?" "All of it. You were incredible. As usual, even the part where that student asked about nepotism, especially that part. I love watching you handle questions like that with such grace." Sofia linked her arm through his as they started walking toward the exit. "It doesn't bother you anymore? The implication that I only succeeded because of you?" "It never bothered me because I know it's not true," Ethan said. "Sofia, you would have been successful with or without me. I just feel lucky that I get to watch it happen up close." They emerged from the building into the crisp October afternoon. And Sofia paused to take a deep breath of autumn air. "Can I tell you a secret? Always. Sometimes I still can't believe this is my life. A year ago, I was working part-time at a coffee shop and stressing about student loans. Now I'm giving keynote speeches and running a successful company and married to the man of my dreams. Believe it," Ethan said, stopping to face her. "Sofia, you earned every bit of this. The success, the recognition, the happiness, all of it, we earned it," Sofia corrected. "Ethan, none of this would mean anything if I didn't have you to share it with." Ethan's expression grew soft and wondering, the same look he got whenever Sofia reminded him how much she loved their life together. "In that case, Mrs. Martinez Stonewell, what do you say we go home and celebrate another successful day in our completely improbable, absolutely perfect life?" "I say that sounds perfect," Sofia said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him again. "But first, We're stopping by my parents' house. Mom is making empanadas, and she'll never forgive us if we're late. Lead the way, Ethan said, taking her hand. I wouldn't miss your mother's empanadas for anything. As they walked through the Columbia campus where they'd once pretended to have met, Sophia reflected on how much truth there was in their old cover story. They had found each other through a combination of ambition, determination, and sheer luck. The details might have been fabricated, but the essence was real. Ethan, Sophia said, as they reached the subway station. Yeah, I'm really glad you needed a fake girlfriend that day. Ethan laughed, the sound rich and warm and full of joy. Sophia Martinez Stonewell. That was the worst decision I ever made. Here's to bad decisions that turn out perfectly, Sophia said, squeezing his hand as they descended into the subway, heading home to their wonderfully chaotic, beautifully real life together. And in the end, that's exactly what their love story was. A bad decision that turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to both of them. A fake relationship that became the realest thing in their lives. A kiss that was supposed to solve one problem and ended up solving everything. It was messy and imperfect and absolutely magical. Just like the best love stories always are, the end